Ah!
How do you mind read your customers? Well, number one is help your customers meet their highest goals. A couple taglines of companies, but I'll just give you Bank of America example, a quick example. Anybody here do the Keep the Change program with Bank of America? The history of that program, fascinating. It's the most successful banking program in the history of American banking. They went out and sent a couple ethnographers, which are basically cultural anthropologists who study customers, into the field, and they wanted to understand single mothers, basically single mothers. So they wanted to understand what's their perspective on savings. First of all, they found that single mothers were more concerned about savings than the average person because they've got kids, and if they're not around, the kids are in trouble because they're a single parent. Secondly, what they found is that single mothers, when they go into their check register and write in a check for $28.28, what do? What do they write? $29. All the women always say that because the women, for some reason, do this more than men. I don't know why. But that's what they found, is that the women actually rounded up. So what happened to the 72 cents? That's what Bank of America said. Let's create an electronic piggy bank. Let's create a debit card. When people actually use the debit card, the 72 cents, the $28.28, when you get your bill at the end of the month, it'll say $29. That 72 cents goes into a bank account, a savings account for you. And actually, back then, 10 years ago, Bank of America would actually match some of your savings and actually give you like extra interest. Today, if Bank of America did this, they'd probably say, the 72 cents we'll keep. But banking's changed. But a very successful program that was focused on just helping customers meet their highest goals. Okay, think about that one. Secondly, give your customers the ability to truly express themselves. We do that at Joie de Vivre in a big way. Harley Davidson, there are more than 40,000 people in America who have tattooed the logo of that company on their body. How many of your customers have tattooed Cisco's logo on their body? One? Okay, thank you. Well, we'll have to see that at the next summit. I'm not even going to talk about Jones Soda, customized labels, not important. Number three, but you understand, making people feel like they can express themselves in the process of buying a product. Thirdly, help customers feel like they're part of a bigger cause. I remember a friend of mine who bought her first Prius. It was the first car she'd ever bought because she said earlier at a time in her life, I will never buy a car. And then she could buy a Prius. And she felt like, okay, wow, she's a self-actualized customer. Patagonia, since 1985, has given 1%, not of their net income, but 1% of their sales to environmental causes. And if you want to see an activated, self-actualized customer base, go to the Patagonia website and check out their Patagoniacs that are on the website. These people are self-actualized, and it's partly because they love the product, but it's a lot because they love the company and because of what the company does from a very authentic place. Because a lot of companies try to do this, and it doesn't look quite as authentic. And then finally, offer your customers something of real value they hadn't even imagined. This is clearly what happens in the tech industry all the time. The B2C example I use here is JetBlue. I just remember the first time I ever walked onto a plane, and it was after 9/11, and security had gotten really tight, and the process of going through security was so miserable. I'm talking in past tense, which is sort of silly of me. It still is. And you get to your seat, and all of a sudden, oh my God, after feeling like a pasture and like a number on my ear, all of a sudden I have my own individual choice, my own ability to watch whatever I want on DirecTV. And I love that. So that was something that I hadn't imagined. So let's talk about it more specifically to Cisco, though. When you're in the B2B space, you actually have a pyramid you have to figure out here. You're thinking that you have a client, you have a customer that is a big client or customer of Cisco. You need to figure out what's their survival need, what's their expectation, what's their desire, and what's their unrecognized need for the company, but also for the decision maker. There are two pyramids. It's the company one, but actually the more important one is the decision maker one. And so often that decision maker is stuck in the survival mode. Please meet my expectations. I don't want to lose my job. So think about that. I mean, as you go deeper into this, for those who want to study it more, read the book. But know that understanding this survival, succeed, transform, and almost like wearing a pair of pyramid glasses when you look at people and look at companies, helps you to understand what are their basic needs. You got to get those right. What would be the needs that would make them happy, middle needs, and what are the ones that would just blow them away? Don't spend all your time here. without getting the bottom right first. It's like in the hotel business, saying, you know, we at the Hotel Vitale, we have yoga classes. So we have yoga classes, and I remember with the 5th day we were open, we had a yoga studio on the top floor, and it was a big deal. It got a lot of press because we were the first financial district hotel in the U.S. to have a yoga studio and free yoga classes in the hotel. And for our bobos, our bourgeois bohemians, they love that. But I remember I got an email soon after we opened from somebody who had a bad experience at the hotel saying, you know, screw your yoga, just get your plumbing right, because the plumbing in my room just wasn't working. And he was right. You know, you got to get the plumbing right, and you guys are in the plumbing business. So so if I'm not right, well, actually, what a great, this is going so well. Thank you. Thank you, Blair. What business are you in? You're here's what I want you to do. Like a Valley girl. We're not going to do it today, but if you want to do it during lunch, you can do it, or at a different time. Sit in front of somebody who's in your department and do an exercise that Peter Drucker and a guy named Ted Levitt from Harvard Business School created. And it's an exercise called What Business Are We In? One of you will say to the other person, the person asking the question, what business are we in? So if I was doing this with one of my hotel colleagues, I'd say, well, we're in the hotel business. We take care of people when they're far away from home. All right, and that other person says, thank you, and you ask the question again. What business are we in? And I can't answer the same way again. You got to do it 5 times. And by the time you get to the 5th time through that exercise, you learn what's the core essence of the business you're in. And that's how we learned. We were in the identity refreshment business. And that became our true differentiator. And it's part of the reason why we have, you know, market share results that are so much better than our competitors. And we realized, okay, we're in the identity refreshment business. How do we organize around that? And honestly, I've not been the CEO for 2 years, and there's a bunch of things that we don't do very well anymore. But I'm still an owner in the company. But it's hard to organize around that. But if you can organize around that, and as a company, as an almost $50 billion company, you're not going to be able to organize the whole company around that. But you may be able to help organize your division or the group you're in around it a little bit more. So think about that. Because at the end of the day, that's the differentiator that's at the top of the pyramid. For us, when we started doing that 10 years ago, remember, 80% of our online reservations was coming from Expedia. We were in trouble, 25% commissions. What were we going to do? Well, in 2002, we fought back. We created Yvette, the hotel matchmaker, because every single one of our hotels has a different personality and a different niche, which is actually a really rotten marketing, branding approach. And how do you know which is the right hotel for you? So on our website, we created Yvette. In the old days, 10 years ago, she was right there on the front, on the homepage. Now you just see Hotel Matchmaker, I think, on the homepage still, but not her picture. And we give you if you want to take it. Most people don't, but a lot of people do. We give you a 1-minute personality test. 5 questions that help us understand your psychographic. And we deliver back to you not just the 5 hotels that best fit your personality in our collection, but also specific and customized tourist advice that fits your psychographic. Now, this technology is 10 years old, and it cost us a grand total of $32,000 to do it. So it's, by your standards, it's not particularly exciting, but it was huge. By 2004, 2 years later, instead of 80% of our business coming from the Expedias of the world and all those guys, only 1/3 of our business was coming from them, and 2/3 was coming from us. And this was part of the reason. That's the Travelocity gnome. On the other side there, we just wanted to get rid of him. Investor pyramid, just 2 minutes on this. Transactional. So Warren Buffett, famous American investor, said, dumb investors focus on the glass of milk, and smart investors focus on the cow. What he means by that is that base of the pyramid, most investors are focused only on return on investment. That's how it is at Cisco. I mean, all those Wall Street investors, all they want is return on investment. So focused on the glass of milk, they don't even take a good relation. They don't create a great relationship with the cow, because the cow creates the milk. If you create a great relationship with the cow, maybe the cow is going to create better milk, more milk, whatever. That's what Warren Buffett said. Middle of the pyramid, he said, we're in the business of just creating great relationships with the companies we invest in. Now, the top of the pyramid is that oxymoron of the self-actualized investor, who really actually thinks of their investment as a legacy. And in the Valley, we see angel investors who invest that way all the time. We see it when fathers or mothers invest in their son or daughter's business, and there's a lot of pride of ownership in that. This is all of the pyramids together. Wow. Employee pyramid, customer pyramid, investor pyramid. There's something missing in the middle, and Blair and Amanda cannot tell you what it is.
It's the heart.
If you read the book, don't say. You saw it earlier, though. What do you think goes in the middle? The heart. Thank you. The heart should go in the middle. We created the heart at Joie de Vivre in 1997. We created the pyramid in 2000.